I joined a draft league for Loomian Legacy. If you've never heard of a draft league, basically, players draft Loomians one by one, then battle each other weekly, make it to playoffs, then win in the playoffs to be crowned the champion of the draft league. In this league, we get 120 points to draft 10 Loomians. Basically, each Loomian is worth a certain number of points, with better Loomians costing higher numbers of points. The drafting is also a snake draft. Basically, the first player drafts first until the 8th. Then the 8th drafts until the 1st. And then so on and so forth. I was 4th in the draft, which wasn't awful, but it did mean that the absolute best Loomians are drafted first, meaning I missed out on some of them, like Zulon. However, I already knew what I wanted a long time ago. My first pick was Phage Knot. I have a lot of experience with Phage Knot, as I'm sure a lot of us know, and it will give me a lot for my team, such as hazard removal, a melee wall, powerful priority, a wall breaker, and a setup option. I wanted to pair Phage Knot with a bug type. Long ago, I deemed the Phage Knot and bug pairing to be a tremendous combo, since they can beat what Phage Knot can't beat, like Nevermare. I was going to grab Swolder since it was relatively cheap at 9 points for what I thought was a decent Lumian, but then I saw another Lumian that wasn't too pricey. For reference, many Lumians are way too expensive, like Vesperatu being worth 19 points. For my second pick, I drafted Near Rave at 14 points. For reference, that was the same amount as Snagoop and stuff. It gives me a good range tank, but more importantly, extremely easy barbs, and a strong defensive typing, as well as more pivoting alongside Phage Knot. Now that it's my third pick, I can finally grab the Swolder that I was going to grab, giving me the cheap bug that I wanted, followed by Gargoyle Speed as my fourth pick. A very versatile Lumian that I thought was worth more than the 14 points it was worth, the same as Mirave. I was planning my draft with Agency and Sakuza, and at this point we were feeling really good about my draft, and we all agreed on a few fundamentals that we needed next. We wanted hazards, hazard removal, scattered speed tiers, and a grounded toxic type. To explain, the speed tiers are so that we can force many Lumians to run nimble or very nimble personalities, which will make them much weaker than otherwise. For example, let's say I didn't have Gargolem speed. Something like Banfino would not need to run very nimble. However, now if it wants to outspeed Gargolem speed, it has to run very nimble. The grounded toxic type is so that we don't automatically lose to poison barbs. And we found a Loomian that provided us almost all of it. Initially, it was going to be Gargolem speed, but Agency drafted it third, so I grabbed another excellent Loomian that was worth less points than Gobidemic. Gobidemic gave me the speed I yearned, as well as a secondary barbs option, health gift to heal up a partner that was not fainted, and fun coverage options like Airblade and Trip Root, as well as poison bars for unprepared teams, like I mentioned. Me and Sakuza wanted a bulky water type long ago. Loomian Legacy has way too many water types, with some like Blowtox being of good value at 8 points. The one that we wanted most was Malamurk, but I would have been okay with something like Banfino, Blowtox, or Sukame. I currently lack a range wall, but Malamurk felt like a good choice, providing me an important light immunity as well. At this point, I was discussing with Agency what else I should grab from school. However, I ended up falling asleep, and at some point it was my turn to draft, so Agency nabbed me Sumobito while I was sleeping. A Loomian that I had said I wanted, but not yet, it was still too early, so my next pick was Sumobito, giving me a second bug that actually resists Earth. It also gives me the option of phasing with Horndashi, which worked well with my barbs from Mirave and Gobidemic. From here, we have 4 picks left and 39 points, and there were a few high point Loomians remaining, with Odo Yaga still being available. So that was my next pick at 7, which I would be surprised by, but people really hate on Odo Yaga. So 19 points probably seems like a fat scam to them, however not to me. Loomians with lots of stats and many moves are much better in draft, which is also why I use Vesperatu as an example, because it doesn't have either of those. Both Sakuza and Agency have been telling me to get the fire type for a long time, and there weren't many left. Agency had already snatched the cheap Lava Fiend Krakaloa for me that Sakuza wanted me to get, so we settled on Infernix. It was a little bit expensive, but I was okay with 12 points, giving me 2 types I didn't have at all, more hazard removal, and Power Napper to pair with my pivoting. Since I only had 8 points left, it only made sense to get something worth 8 points. Wrestler and Pronto were both worth 7, but Wrestler was already taken, and as much as I love Pronto, she isn't very good in draft because she barely has moves. My final pick was Weaselin. Even more barbs, a baffled user, fast provoke, and so much more. Not much else to say here. And that's my draft team. I'm very excited to use them and see how well we can do each week. Each week, we will be bringing 5 of our 10 to a battle, so let's hope everyone comes along, eventually. Let me know what you think of the team, and that's it.